Good day. Thank you for joining us for a special edition on Canal English. Today we'll be talking about the armed conflicts that have been going on in the northwest and the southwest region of the country for close to 3 years today, with no permanent solution that have been put in place in order to resolve the crisis and let peace reign in this part of Cameroon and equally the entire country. We shall equally be looking at the role carried out or implemented by the National Assembly as well as the Senate in order to fast-track the process of peace in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon. My name is Dominic Meme Mwakimo. I'm being joined by 4 guests who will introduce them to you. We have Honorable N. Bile. He is a former member of Parliament. For this particular panel, he will be sitting in as a peace crusader, that is a champion in the process of peace. Honorable, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Honorable, welcome you with this particular question. We have heard the Cameroon People Democratic Movement, the CPDM, preparing to go down the field and carry out seminars ahead of any elections that will be organized in Cameroon this year. The CPDM, many people think that it has an overwhelming majority. Therefore, there should be no need for such a seminar in preparation for any elections in Cameroon. What's your take on this particular move by the CPDM party, given the present context we have today as far as the crisis is concerned?
Thank you. I feel ill-suited to give you any position. Though a member of the CPDM, I am not a member of the Central Committee, nor am I involved in the organization of the party. So I don't think I have anything that I could offer as far as that activity is concerned. I would like to concentrate on the peace crusade that we are embarked on.
We shall be talking about the peace crusade in just a moment. Let's welcome Senator Henry Kemende of the Social Democratic Front. Thank you for coming, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Dominic. The pleasure is mine to have been invited by Canal English or Canal English. I want to appreciate you for the hard job, for the hard work you have been doing.
Thank you for coming. A similar question for you. We have had the chairman of the Social Democratic Front before the celebration of Women's Day indicating that the Social Democratic Front might not participate in the elections this year if the crisis is not resolved. Is that the take of the SDF?
Not really the take as such. It was actually it's a challenge that the national chairman of the Social Democratic Front passed over. Or it was a challenge to the government to do more than it is doing to resolve the crisis in the two English-speaking regions of our country. It was a challenge. And I think looking at what happened in the presidential elections, you bear with me that it was a masquerade of an election in the northwest and southwest regions, or in the northwest and southwest regions of our country. It was a masquerade. And it doesn't really, I don't think it gives anybody, any reasonable person, a good sense of belonging to a nation whereby elections conducted and one part of the country is seemingly excluded to put in place a head of state. Even if I were voted a head of state, I won't be comfortable under those circumstances. So what the
some people will say that the SDF went in knowing fully well that the situation was like that.
In fact, you know, politics is such a way that it's in such a way that when you don't do something, you are blamed. When you do something, you are blamed. So actually, the circumstances did not really warrant, under normal circumstances, for the SDF to go in for it. But since we're taken on that, what made it a point of duty not to stay away from any election, it has actually been one of the resolutions taken by the SDF in one of its conventions. I think was been Bafoussam, never to abstain themselves from any elections. But that doesn't mean that they will not pose challenges to whosoever it is incumbent on him to make sure that the environment, the electoral atmosphere or the democratic atmosphere is put in order for any meaningful elections to take place. Because we are being observed as we do practice democracy by both Cameroonians and the international community.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for coming, Senator. Let's welcome Honorable Enwe Francis of the CPDM party and equally a peace crusader. Thank you for coming, Honorable.
Well, it's my pleasure this afternoon.
Honorable, the National Assembly or the Legislative year opened this week, and we noticed that the older senator or the older parliamentarian, that is Honorable Tanjo, delivered a speech applauding the government for the Operation Sparrowhawk that is continuing. Do you think the operation of imprisoning ex-members of government that have embezzled state funds without recovering this fund is worthwhile?
Well, I may not go in much detail in that direction about the recovery of the funds, because we know government has put in place measures to recover some of these from our previous questions in Parliament to members of government concerning this issue of arrest and detention of those that are embezzled public funds. And we know government has been taking good measures in handling that aspect of recovery. But like the oldest member of parliament said yesterday, he encourages government to continue more seriously in handling all those who have embezzled public funds. It's something we all encourage as parliamentarians. And in fact, this corruption has affected the country very negatively in its development, and I think it's about time to put a stop at that. Encouraging recovery is what we also do, and we know government has been putting in place measures, and I know something has been done in that direction.
Thank you so much for coming. Let's welcome Mo Waters. You are a political analyst. Thank you for coming, sir.
The pleasure is mine, Dominic, and the privilege to sit with my fathers and mentors to share during this pertinent moment in the life of our nation. So I'm humbled.
Thank you so much. This week we noticed that the price of beer finally have been increased. Many people are asking the question, with the pivotal role the CBA plays in the social affairs or social lives in Cameroon, either there was no way for government to avoid such an aspect.
Well, Dominic, we're all Cameroonians. I'm not the one to tell you, you know better than I do, that we're in a country where when issues that are at stake are supposed to be handled, we distract people with things that doesn't matter much. When people drink beer in the midst of frustration, poverty, young people who are supposed to think about their future, and when all is lost, they abandon themselves to alcohol. Not good for human health, no good in the eyes of God, not good socially. Well, the price of beer have always been added, and people keep drinking it. They're not drinking it because we love drinking in Cameroon. No. We're drinking, most 90% of people drinking beer, even people who are not working. I will start asking questions, where do we get money to drink beer? The population drinking this beer, the class that is supposed to be involved in research, studying, helping to put in the energy. But since we, the youths, have no place, our day is tomorrow that will never come, and the only way to cry out our frustration is to get there, those who can manage to do scamming, to get and then drink. Those who steal and break, get money, they drink. At the end of the day, we say we are in a state where the youths, we count on the young people. That is the young people. Mind you, price increase has an effect. Beer has always been used as a factor to kill down people who can think and act accordingly. And if increase in prices can make it difficult for them to do that, then it's a good thing. But I want to believe it will not stop people. Drinking is a psychological issue, not a financial issue. Not about how much you have, that matters. But what pushes you to drink? Are we drinking because we're happy, we're celebrating that what is going on good? Internally displaced everywhere. Northwest and Southwestern in Cameroon, refugees.
We'll get to that.
Would that help solve the problem? Then we'll thank God if we can solve it.
We're getting to that after close to 3 years today of an armed conflict in the northwest and the southwest region of the country. Several measures have been put in place both by government, religious bodies, and equally individuals. But this time around, there is a new peace movement that have been put in place. It's called the Northwest Southwest Peace Movement. That is exactly why we're here to talk about today. Honorable, perhaps let me start with Honorable Mbile. Maybe you give us a clear knowledge of what this peace movement is all about.
Thank you. May I add my title of chief to my names?
All right.
Honorable Chief Mbile.
All right.
Thank you. We all know the trauma that the English-speaking Cameroonian has been going through. We have all seen the stages of this crisis. How it started like a joke, was not well handled, and it has escalated until today, where we stand on the threshold of a great abyss, a precipice, a fathomless pit. Because if we keep falling, if we don't stop ourselves, the fall will continue. We thought, a few of us who started with the idea, sons and daughters of the Northwest and the Southwest regions, thought that sitting down and watching our parents, our brothers and sisters, our children being killed day in, day out, watching our villages and our personal houses being burnt, watching our economy, a buoyant economy of hardworking people being destroyed. We thought that it is time to make the suggestion to the Cameroonian people that we start resolving this problem. The solution may take quite a long span, and we are not claiming to have all the answers to this puzzle, but we circumscribed our aspirations to what we consider to be a very, very vital beginning to a solution.
Yes, what is it particularly?
Cessation of violence.
Which means is the mission of the Northwest-Southwest Peace Movement.
Yes, and in fact the name is Northwest-Southwest Peace Movement on Cessation of Violence.
That's
the complete name of our movement. And we think that these actions should be done in stages. The first and unavoidable stage is that violence should cease. Let dialogue take on. You see, if you try to start dialogue while shooting is going on, you know the hazards of that. People cannot attend meetings because if the separatist forces say there's ghost town today, special ghost town, no movement, you can't go. So already the meeting, which may be well-intentioned, is disturbed. Or on the side of the army, they could take an operation among the many that they have been taken, and it will disturb. And even if they don't take any moves, just the fact that there is shooting and that there is targeting, some people will fear to attend meetings and express themselves because they may say something that will anger one side or the other, and they will be afraid of retribution.
All right.
So we say, stop shooting first.
Before dialogue will take course.
Yes, let be some normalcy. Then we start the process of dialogue, because we believe that we must end this crisis with dialogue. Okay,
let's find out from Honorable Enwe Francis. You are one of the front runners of the peace movement today. Some people are asking the question, the crisis started in 2016. Why now with the peace movement?
Well, you know, there is time for everything. In a conflict that has degenerated to this level, it is time for everybody to reflect. In the beginning, we didn't want it to go to where it has taken us to. But if we allow people to continue fighting. We allow violence to continue, and our people are those suffering. It is but normal in every fight, in every war, there's a time for a break. There's a time for discussions. And discussions normally don't take place when you hear shooting here and there. Like Chiva said, our mission is to talk to the stakeholders. Try to make them understand and have a break. Maybe for a given period. So, okay, everybody stop. We don't want roads to be blocked within this period. We don't want attacks here and there. Everybody should be calm wherever they are. In that period of calmness, we are very optimistic. Quite a lot of things will happen, which we don't have control over. Ours is just to call people to their consciences. So please, guys, can you hold on? And if that is accepted and they call for a ceasefire, then our mission is finished. And that is where this movement ends its mission.
That's right.
Any dialogue coming in or what other arrangements coming in, there are many commissions that have been formed about this. Everybody start doing his own work. Yeah, we don't want to intervene in the actions of other commissions or assignments and so on. Or many more commissions or movements may come up, but ours is focused on cessation of violence.
Thank you. Senator, I wanted to react on this particular new movement that have been put in place to institute peace.
Mr. Dominic, I will begin by asking myself, what has happened to the other old moves? What has happened to the earlier commissions? The Bilingualism and Multiculturalism Commission that was put in place, its mission was to make sure that at least they do things in a way that could appease the parties, could appease the disgruntled people. After that, we had the Disarmament Commission. What is a Disarmament Commission? It was to discuss with people, the disgruntled the people who took up arms, to lay down their arms and let peace reign. And you see, the problem is when we don't face the reality, when we avoid the truth. Let me tell you what, contrary to what Honorable Chief Bile said, you don't need to fear anybody. Fear anybody on either of the divide. Either the Amazonians nor the government, if you are speaking the truth. All these crises have come about as a result of some historical coincidences or some historical events. If we keep escaping from the fact that this crisis has come as a result of some historical accidents, then we are far away from solving this problem. This problem is a constitutional problem. It's a problem of some constitutional fraud that was perpetrated on a people. And it has taken us to where we are, where we cannot again know what the root causes of this is. I am a lawyer, and by the time this event started, I was the leader of the lawyers in the Northwest region. What did the lawyers start complaining about? The issue of mixing up the judicial system in a way that justice could no longer be attained, following the standard that we have grown up to know justice to be. And why could the justice not be attained again under the system that we had known before? It's because of the meddling up of situations in an attempt to uniformize the country. Unity is not necessarily uniformity. It is because of the fact that we lose track of the fact that we are two different peoples. There are some people who even talk about the fact that we are all Cameroonians and the problem of Anglophones could be compared to the problem of a tribe and all that. Please give me a break. We have about 200 something tribes in the Northwest and Southwest. That does not make Anglophone as a whole to become a tribe compared to other tribes in the country. In fact, the problem, if we keep escaping from the truth, and which truth is the fact that two peoples colonized by two colonial blocks, two colonial countries, with two different systems, have been brought together by an accident, which is the result of the fact that there was no third option for the Southern Cameroons to have its independence. Until we get to that, to know that to ask ourselves what happened from that moment, whereby there was a refusal of the third option of independence, and when it led to the plebiscite, and the plebiscite took us to where we are. There was supposed to be a full bank conference to discuss as to how we could blend together. Those are historical facts. But let me tell you what, Mr. Dominic, if we don't face those things they ache some people to hear. us going back to history. But if you don't know where you are coming from, you don't know where you are, and you don't know where you are going to. Historical facts, we need to know that the lawyers and the teachers who started this crisis started, it was just the legal system and the educational system. They were just symptoms of a bigger problem. The bigger problem being that the two peoples living together needed more homework to be done than it was done before we started mixing up issues like mixing kerosene and water and thinking that they will blend.
Okay,
they will not blend.
Let's find out from more waters. Where do we draw the line between the Disarmament Commission and the peace movement that has been put in place now?
To be honest with you, Brother Dominic, I feel angered when I hear anything about commission, committee, change the name again. That is not what we want. Like Mary said here, Musonge Commission is there for promotion of bilingualism, and they have a place to any person that has a contribution to step in. The Fire Yengo Commission in charge of disarmament and reintegration, it is there to handle the same problem. And if no results have come, we can multiply commissions. We have commission in charge of human rights in Cameroon, but those same commission members violate human rights more than you and I. The problem is not commission. The people fighting, how many of them have abandoned good jobs and gone to fight in the bush? Are you asking them to drop arms to get access to employment? Then it's laudable. The people fighting have had their destiny sacrificed. Some have gone to school, but because they are not privileged to come from families where they can be connected to gain good jobs, they ask themselves, what have we done to deserve this? Is the commission coming to restore their destiny in teaching us how to refraud our birth certificates so that some who have attained 40 years can come back to have access to enter ENAM like their peers? Then the commission is laudable. The people fighting are crying because they know they have something in them to offer to build, to rescue their country, but they have become second-class citizens. Will this commission come to stop? What will you tell them to drop arms? What are the reasons you think you can place before them to drop arms? And talking about it at this level, people have drugged themselves, they have become dehumanized. It's a risk even for you to think. This is honorable here. We look upon him like one of our model among MPs in the Northwest region. But his own compound was brought down. If his own compound was burnt by children that would believe they love him more than ever, it means you are another MP that will butcher you live and there on the spot. And you take a risk to create a commission, call it peace movement. Those things are in words. Peace is cultivated. You don't command people that be peaceful. I don't tell people go on street. In international law, there are two main modes. The state is either in conflict, where you talk of war, or peaceful, where you talk about pacific living. And Cameroon is in a state of war. And we are in war. Look for the reasons that have prompted the people to be manifesting and proposing. Because you tell them peace, or because nobody hates peace, by creating commissions. Tell me there should be hidden agenda behind it. If it's for this crisis, I don't think commission have any place.
Let's fire from Chief Honorable.
If I may add something.
Briefly.
Briefly.
Yes.
There can be no talk of peace without justice.
That's right.
All these things they go together because of injustice. Let there be justice first, and then let there be guarantees of justice, and peace can follow.
Chief Honorable, when you listen to them talk, it gives the impression that your commission or your movement has no place. We have other commissions that are already there, as you mentioned, doing nothing. So your commission has no place.
Okay. Thank you. The impression people have given, and I've heard it across this table, is that our peace movement is government-oriented. It's initiated by government like the other commissions. You know, the Musonge Commission is a government commission. The Fayengo Commission or committee is a government-sponsored commission. Ours is an emanation from the people who have suffered for so long. It has nothing to do with government. In fact, they are the examples they have given buttresses the coming up of an idea like ours. Because if, as they say, the activities of those government sponsored commissions and committees are not being felt, should we allow the people to continue to die to suffer, to be maimed. So sons and daughters on their own private initiative have come up and said, please, can we suggest this? Can we suggest that? It is for the government and for the people. In fact, as we stand, we are on our own. We are appealing to government, at the same time appealing to the population. We have, I can tell you, we have asked to have contact with government or to go and do certain actions whereby government has the authority to pave our way, and we are still waiting on the results of our request.
Dominic, meaning
To
from
show
what
you
you say,
no, please.
government can be a blockage.
Please.
Please.
Allow him to explain.
We are not saying the contrary. We are not saying the contrary. Government can be, in effect,
They will not see
blockage.
themselves being challenged because that's how they see it.
No, it is, we would say that it is not a challenge, it's an idea. It's an idea. And we are not a commission. We are an idea, and which we hope will be like a movement. You know the difference between a commission and a movement. A movement is, it carries the people along. And when we think that if we have the support of the population, government will have no choice but to listen to us. You see, the problem about this crisis is there are so many phases of it that sometimes government says, but what do we do that will give the population the assurance that we are doing the right thing? If asking for peace is not the right thing, then I do not know what else would be the right thing to arrive at a situation where we all sit down across the table or around the table and talk the aftermath. Senator has brought up a very good point about justice and peace, that without justice there cannot be peace. But I turn it round, I say without peace we cannot implement justice. If there is no calm, no matter how good the laws are, I know that in many communities in our regions, people fear targeting. They fear being targeted, and that sometimes make them say, "Oh, I don't want me problem. I should down for my house." You see, we really have to sincerely look afterwards. No, revendications, all what they have said, they are in order.
Okay, Honorable, let's find out from you. How are the people reacting to the putting in place of this peace movement? And the second question is, who is financing this movement?
Listen, when we started this initiative, people misunderstood it. They just heard it and everybody started reacting. And those for and those against. But I'm very convinced a majority of the people are calling us, are giving bad encouragements and giving proposals how we can add on our plan of action. And many who used to start a bit harsh about it, when you explain to them and even give them some documented information about what we're doing, material, you see them call back and say, "Oh, that is brilliant, do it this way, we can add this other point on it, it will work well for peace to return," and so on. So we really appreciate that. We're getting calls from the diaspora back home in the villages, even from some of the boys that are calling us. And the confusion that people had is commission, and they just turn again because the leaders are not leaders. The first people they saw in public were of the CPDM. Oh, I'm an honorable, he's a former member of parliament. Whoa.
All from the CPDM.
All from the CPDM.
Oh, that bad business again has come in.
Yes.
People didn't reflect.
Yes.
Nobody reflected how.
The question is
somebody must come, a human being, somebody must do something for peace.
how did they come with the impression?
Before we were preaching, that old Cardinal to me is the only person that if he starts talking about this issue, God will help us, he will go well. But remember when Cardinal to me stood up and just started the plan for the AGC, you saw what came up. They turned him a devil. They gave him all type of names. Threats came in. So now, we don't have a Jesus Christ in Cameroon. who will solve the problem. When you come, they'll look at your background and give you another one that you cannot do. When this one comes, they'll say, oh, Kemende is a lawyer. Lawyers are liars. It will not work. So who should talk about peace? That is why this initiative came from individuals to form, to say, okay, we have this movement, let's work in this direction. It's not government business. Commissions are created by decrees, and people are appointed on a special assignment. You don't take us and compare with those commissions. We have nothing to do with those commissions. But we thought that we could reflect and talk about peace. Talk about cessation of violence. Because we believe, we are convinced, considering the number of people that we have from the Northwest and Southwest in this at the beginning, from diverse backgrounds. We have university dons, we have magistrates, we have lawyers, yeah. we have civil society, yeah. We have journalists, we have all types of people that we brought.
And politicians.
And politicians.
Yes.
People that you hardly believe that they would have been sitting together to talk, because the ideas are completely diverse. Those for, those against. But we all reflected and said, let's come and put a focus. Yeah, you support the cessation. You support the government. You support this. Please, can we just change our focus a bit and talk on cessation of violence?
Solving this problem.
Let's solve this problem for violence to end. Not that we are changing your mentality. I'm not telling you to become a CPDM because I'm CPDM. I'm not telling you of the SDF to become CPDM and talk. No. But we all have come to follow this umbrella.
To solve a particular problem.
To solve a particular problem.
Now, Honorable, who is financing this movement?
Yes, we have been having some gestures of goodwill. Because, in fact, we've touched even a lot of diplomatic organizations to present our plan of action and try to see the involvement of everybody. We've met many elite who have been very, very impressed about it and encouraging us. We spend a lot from our pockets, Chief.
Mostly.
We spend from our pockets.
Mostly.
Until it's just that it has come and then people start talking.
And sir,
just
a minute,
Dominic.
Just
add briefly before I get Walter's react.
Let me add to the finances, because it's a capital point. We've read the social media. People say that we've been financed. We've had two meetings. One was a one-day meeting, and the other was a two-day meeting. If you look at our membership, there are people who can pay 5,000 francs to get to Yaoundé or Douala, who can pay a room in a hotel. Now, if you talk of expenditure, if we call a meeting and we put a small bottle of Supermont water and a little juice, how do you call that, fresco. I don't know if I cannot handle it. I do not know how much it will cost me to handle a 50,000 francs expenditure. If I am committed, my house was burnt, my farms are not working, or everything is not. So some little shops where I was getting rent, the people have all escaped. So if you are thinking that it is foolishness to invest in peace, then see the opposite, where there is no peace and all your economy is gone. So one thing, that is how we finance.
Yeah.
Communal work. Second thing, please.
Second source of finance?
Which is linked up. This problem of party politics entering into this problem.
We'll come back for you to explain. Are you now convinced about the difference between this particular movement and the other commissions put in place?
That's it sounds so intellectually right, but practically it will not work. In a different country, not this country. It would have worked elsewhere, not in Cameroon.
People would think you are pessimist.
Chief Honorable is in front of me. In his capacity as a chief, traditional ruler, that has his people. Must he create a commission before he manage his people? Ever since this a movement, must he create a movement? Sorry, Chief. Must Chief create a movement before his people can hear him? If his subject cannot be hearing him in the past, he will not be under capacity of movement that will hear him. Meaning his problem of leadership as a chief in his community is questionable. This honorable here, as a representative of the people who voted you, send you to parliament to represent them. They don't know, you know, and should be their brain. If his people in his constituency have never been listening to him in the past, because I know he must have been preaching, drop arms, and nothing has happened. It is not when he comes under the capacity of a movement, because the word movement doesn't frighten anybody, that they will drop arms. They will see more of a spy. For them to drop arm, they arrest them now. Why? Because the good idea is nursing. Somebody from the same party with him is about destroying it.
It's possible.
As he's calling people to come, there's somebody from his own party telling people, go and tell them to come and give me the name, let me arrest them behind. So how do we manage these two ideas so that this honesty can flow through? And he has already put it, they might have the representation of different political parties. I want to hear the name of one person from a different party that has no CPDM.
Okay, Senator,
then I will be convinced. And the role that person is playing on the front line, civil society, ordinary person, a man that is not represented somewhere because of his financial background.
Do you have a problem with the leadership of this particular movement? Two personalities, all from the CPDM party.
A very serious problem. If I say I don't have a problem, then it means that I'm pretending. And one thing, Mr. Dominic, which we must avoid in this country is that of pretension. Is that of pretension?
Honest.
Honestly speaking, I'm a senator. I'm an elected official. My brother there has been elected. He has once been elected. Why can't we speak? Why do we forsake our people? The problem is that we are representing, in fact, it has been manifest, it's really manifest now very clearly that there can be a break between people, leaders, and the elect and the population. In fact, there is no way by which one could, it could be manifest that leadership or the institutions as they are have failed to protect the people than in the present circumstances. There is no way. In fact, historical incidents, historical evolution, the whole world has been veiled by historical events. And I tell you that even France, when the French Revolution of 1789 took place, it was because of the increase, the immediate, what sparked it? It was the increase in the price of bread, 1789. Yes. But I'm telling you, when the revolution was on, if bread was given for free, that revolution would not have stopped. It would have continued to the end. And these are historical events. Why do we think that Cameroon is a different part of the world? Our history was never put in a coffin and nailed from at the level of the plebiscite. What do you think you do to Cameroonians or to English-speaking Cameroonians, the Northwest and Southwest, from reverting to their history and knowing that they came from somewhere and that they came voluntarily and it was their choice. And now, if they want to revisit their choice of yesterday, where is the institution now that permit them to revisit their choices of yesterday? Does it mean that after they did the plebiscite, that was the end of it? The issue of plebiscite is sealed? Because the two protagonists, both the government and the secessionists, and the separatists, or the independentists, as they want to be called, they are all saying that they are fighting to protect the population, the innocent population. Why can we not advocate? In order these people are consulted, as they were consulted yesterday, before they made a choice to come and join their brothers of French Cameroon.
In other words,
did plebiscite, a referendum. Let us consult the people. Let them say whether in the circumstances what is their choice. Look, let me tell you what. We behave as if the fate of the Southern Cameroonians, the Anglophone Cameroonians of today, as if their fate was sealed by the referendum of 1961. I don't believe in that.
Not true.
I believe that history is a continuous evolution of humankind. It's a continuous process. And some people are given the impression that Cameroon, we are fighting to come back to Cameroon that was under Germany. But I tell you, the birth certificate of every nation is the death of their independence. Under German Cameroon, were we independent? We were a colony, and we're just the area was being captured by German, and they were going. They hadn't even had time to administer us or to even give us time to even understand our brothers that way. But we were colonized by people whose culture we have. The language we are speaking is not our language. It's the language of the people who colonized us yesterday. Why do you want to ignore that and go back to German when I cannot even say good morning in Germany?
Okay. Honorable, let's find out from you.
Yeah.
Is it possible for you as a peace crusader now
to
differentiate with a militant of the CPDM party that you are?
To differentiate?
Yes.
From the beginning of this problem, I started this peace crusade. People may not understand. I was upright from the beginning of this problem, as a member of parliament and as Francis. First thing, I think we had meetings with the lawyers. as
I think that was so far the most successful meeting that we had.
The most successful
meeting. And I wish if it was implemented, we would not have been where we are today.
This problem would not have
but I heard they were reproached in their circles, in their parties.
So you
haven't even heard the meeting with us. I was part of the meeting, and thank God that's where we meet with Honorable. Let me just, Honorable has said something which touches on my conscience. And I think with his permission, I can say something. We held that meeting against the opinion of the lawyers, against what the ground was advocating for. They didn't support us to attend that meeting at the National Assembly with the members of Parliament. And I'm telling you, that was a meeting, one of the most successful meetings that's held since this crisis started. But all what we agreed, we're all shelved. In fact, there is no gainsaying the fact that somebody is taking his personal opinion as he wants Cameroon to be and is trying to use the institutions to impose it on the people. The future of Cameroonians must be decided by Cameroonians. The future of whosoever is disgruntled must be decided by that person.
Okay, let's permit Honorable to explain his point.
Just to explain that, as a member of Parliament here, and about my party, we started with lawyers in good faith to see how we arrest this problem at the beginning. And it didn't go the way we thought, but I think we had very good intentions. After that, when even people were arrested and brought to Yaoundé, the leaders, I was one of the first people to go to set. When I saw on social media that they have tied them upside down and they are maltreating them. It spread like wildfire. I had to go to set to see for myself. But when I went to set, I met the people sitting very comfortably. I met Bobala, Barrister Bobala, I met Dr. Fontaine, I met Mancho BBC, and even the girlfriend of Mancho BBC. I'm the one who even intervened when I asked, but why is this lady's business here? I was there, and I did a release on the spot. I was there as the only person where they were taking their fingerprints. There was nobody. But I was doing that as a member of Parliament. Yes, I'm of the CPDM, but I was doing that.
You also said, why even the arrest?
So now,
why even the arrest?
Well, it has happened. We look for a solution. And after that, I haven't had a visit at the prison. I've been to prison about 2 times. Even 2 weeks ago, I was in prison to negotiate the release of one young guy who was brought in and discovered that he was a minor. I was there. So those are parts in play. Though as a CPDM member of Parliament, you are involved in that. That's peace crusading, trying to bring peace, trying to ameliorate or to manage a situation where, it can escalate. It has escalated to this point. We don't want to go back to history. I don't want to even put the blame game, this one is wrong, this one is right. It shall come. The time will come for a solution. Our wish is that, can we just have a break? Let there be some silence. Can guns stop sounding in the northwest and southwest?
For dialogue to take
for dialogue to take its course. Can roadblocks stop? Can arrest, can kidnapping stop?
Ghost towns.
So that
can
all ghost towns,
villages
all those things, can it stop? When all of that stops,
some good faith must be manifested.
Yes, let's
by the person who failed to manage it when there was that calm.
Senator,
let's all fight to make sure that things are calm. All of us should be part of the crusade. That let them be some calm. If there is calm, all of us that will be asking, please, it's quiet now. Can any other activity take place?
Chief Honorable,
you'll be shocked on the response that will come from wherever it's supposed to come.
Let's find out from you, what is the credibility of the leaders of this movement to ask separate leaders? Let's find out, to ask separate leaders to drop their arms.
So we should stop as soon as possible.
Okay.
The credibility that you have to ask these separate leaders to drop their arms.
Yes, thank you very much. I would like my colleagues to hear me a little on this. The question you put is my militancy with the CPDM, not contradicting the approach for peace.
No, I'm talking about the credibility of the frontline leaders to ask separate leaders and equally the military to drop their arms, because not only the separatists you are asking to drop their arms.
I will come to that. You are alluding to the fact that maybe the party is contrary to the move for peace. I would say that sincerely, we did not, let me start with myself. I did not take permission from the CPDM to start this movement. I didn't think that it was a political matter that my party had to know.
Neither myself. I never did any.
It came from me, and
even from Parliament. I didn't ask anybody's opinion.
Up to today, we have not gone to see any person on party lines. This is. I have suffered. He has suffered. Our people are suffering. we sit and say, but what is the way forward? Let us start talking. Sincerely, what has been said today here is the talking. But all we are asking is that it should be coordinated in a way that when people talk, it is taken down and it is put in a context where...
That's a dialogue,
yes,
Chief.
Yes.
That's a dialogue.
Yes.
Which has not been given a chance.
Is our wish
and dialogue
our
is being interpreted differently instead. In our country only. We know of dialogue in other places in the world.
Senator,
it doesn't take place.
Senator,
just a minute.
Dialogue is given a different interpretation here.
How credible are the members to champion this particular cause?
Sincerely, it is like a mother giving forth a baby, and the baby is such a beautiful baby that the nurses and government come and say, this poor woman in the village will not be able to take care of this child very well. Let us take this child away from this woman and give it to more appropriate hands. This is what is happening to us. This idea is our idea. We built it, we thought about it, we have proposed it. Now they say, you cannot handle this idea because you are dirty, you are corrupt, you are not of good morality. We give it to those who can do it better. That's why, sincerely, an idea like this cannot work with one person, with two people. That's why we started with a smaller. In fact, this thing started 2 of us. Then we formed 4. Then we went to what we are now, 18.
We learn you have taken members from the 13 divisions of the Northwest and Southwest.
That's right.
Now, why can't you take people that are neutral as far as political collaboration is concerned?
They are neutral. They are neutral. It is unfortunate. I mean
the front line, Honorable and the Chief Honorable.
I cannot give names.
You will have taken neutral persons to lead this movement.
Let me tell you that we tried. We tried to bring in religious people of high level. We didn't succeed. I don't know why. We tried to get politicians of the other party. You know, there are 2 parties in the Anglophone Cameroon, CPDM and SDF, who have worth their substance. We tried. There was a little bit of dragging of legs.
Because they are in power.
But we have one person who is of the SDF, but I will not give the name. One person who is clearly of the SDF, and many who are of opposition leaning, who vote SDF all the time. I will not give their names because this thing is taking the kind of line that people have to protect others. We have already been exposed. We are on the guillotine. Maybe I will be killed. I don't want others to be killed. No. But eventually, we will call a meeting when we invite other people to join us, and I'm very sure my friends across the aisle will join us when the time comes, and we shall call a bigger meeting, and this idea of credibility will cease to be a problem. Because when we call people,
everything should be on the table.
The prime mission of
this, it will all be on the table.
The prime mission of this particular movement is for the separatists as well as the military to drop their arms. Yeah. Do you look at it? Is it feasible that the movement is going to attain that particular mission?
The government has waged war and has instructed the military to strike down everybody who is not ready to drop arms. That's going on. And the boys are not ready to drop arms. They gave Honorable the condition. If you want us to hear you, resign from the La République government. Are they ready to resign? To resign from parliament? So that you come and tell them, I am coming as somebody who have obeyed your instructions. Those are impossibilities.
No parliamentarian has resigned.
No parliamentarian resign. And they want the parliamentarians, if you want them to hear you, to resign. Don't forget, you can never be moving with urine on your trouser. You keep pumping perfume, you smell. Honorable can never distinguish themselves out of the CPD and mess. Not that it's a bad party, they're in power, and when you're in power, every evil must be attributed to you. That's leadership. And a good leader assumes the responsibility. That yes, it was all my fault because I am up there. But when we embark on defense mechanisms, everybody plays around to protect his interests. These people's secessionists who have nobody to protect their interests have just their life to give in. They do or they die. And I'm asking, under what capacity? Meetings are holding in Yaoundé. Can this meeting hold up? where I'm coming from? Why can this meeting not move from Douala and go a whole in Akwaya? Where these boys are, invite them to come and listen. That's when our no meeting has started. If that has not taken place, it remains what has been going on every day.
We are still in the morning.
The process.
We've just started.
Honorable.
It's not up to a week that we came out.
Okay.
So give us time.
I'll come back to
we need a couple of months. We need to do
what? I want
what?
to find out from you.
Yes.
Which method are you going to do to tell the military to drop their arms?
Listen, we are appealing. We don't tell. We don't have powers to give instructions. We are calling on the consciences of everyone. And take note, the military, we call that a state. And you can't give instructions to a state. But you can appeal to the weaker force.
Yes.
Which is?
Normally the secessionists. There's a problem. Those are we can easily link to our brothers and say, please. Because sometimes, military reacts.
About 3/4 of the geographical, the administrative map of the 2 English-speaking regions is not controlled by the government.
Wait.
They say nobody goes up there.
They block you from going to your and that's all.
In normal circumstances, you
authority?
can't instruct a military of a state to pull down arms.
Neither can a military ever defeat the people.
Now,
Can
what you can appeal for is to talk to the people.
That too, you are right.
Blood
Yes,
is
you can never
flowing.
defeat the people.
Yeah, you can never defeat the people.
Yes.
But blood is flowing. The destruction that is going on is alarming. Violence has come to its peak. And we think that if somebody say, I will break for 1 week and wait and see what you will do, you see that no reaction will take place.
No.
And if there's no reaction, that's when you may turn and say, okay, we have put down, we are quiet. I'm not telling them to say, come and hand your arms. We are saying you can still hold your arm and say, okay, I give you 3 weeks. I will not do any action and hear what you will do. If you don't do, I will start again.
But that is conflicting to the commission, the committee of Fayego Francis.
Wait.
That is asking them to hang over their arms.
We are saying we want to
surrender arms.
wait. Our mission is cessation of violence.
Yeah.
Stop. I'm not coming here to talk on behalf of the commission of Governor Fayego. No, we have nothing to do
I'm just
with that.
giving you their own mission.
No. Their mission may get well if these guys suspend for some time and few actions take place.
That's right.
You may be shocked that if these guys give suspension for about 2-3 months and nothing is happening there. The powers that be may decide and say, oh, what was their first demand? Release of people. Release all those people.
Yeah.
What again did they want? Dialogue. How do we do this? So we are softening the ground for other things to come in. We don't have control over those things. But all what we are doing is appealing to the consciences of people. But if we appeal and they don't want to listen, we have no authority to force them.
So perhaps that is where the movement is going to end.
Yeah, no
Yes,
problem.
of course.
If we ask you, you refuse, ask you, refuse, we
If
back
both
up.
parties refuse to listen to us,
Well,
we cannot do anything.
No, but
further.
Senator, go ahead. About reacting on what he's talking about, dropping arms on both, or holding arms on both sides.
You see, it is because we are escaping from the reality. We are escaping from the reality. In fact, let me talk about the justice sector in the northwest and southwest regions, or particularly in the northwest region. Bamenda has become a stock exchange for justice, where people who need services of the legal department in Kumbu or in Kambe or in Fundong, they come, they look for the various where the state councils are found or where the state council are found, and they go to them and they give the issue in their cars, the issue documents that they need. Where they need judgment, where they file matters, they're all based in Bamenda. They can't go to the interior. The decentralization policy of the government has failed because justice it has now become centralized in Bamenda. If you want any of those jurisdictional heads, you look for them in Bamenda and you go to wherever they are.
They are taking refuge in Bamenda.
Everybody is taking refuge in Bamenda, even all the government offices. Until the other day, you could hear the SGO, who himself is out of his jurisdiction in Lebialem, calling on the civil servants to take up their offices without which you have this license.
Where he
himself is not on ground. He's not on ground zero. So whom are we fooling? Can we stop fooling
That's why we
Cameroonians?
want peace for things to...
Can we stop fooling Cameroonians? The thing is that one thing is just simple. One thing is just so simple. If you like somebody so much, and the person has problems, if you love somebody so much and this person is feeling ill at ease somewhere, why not try to soften yourself towards him? And where he is, where the shoe is pinching, don't tell him that he's not pinching. Don't tell him that there's nothing wrong with that shoe. Listen to him. Look, let me tell you what. Before we left, no, Mr. Dominic, these are historical facts. We left Nigeria as a bloc. There was not the people. There was no war to come here. They were just the representatives, the parliamentarians who picked their bags. I could see the picture where they were coming out from the eastern, and that was the end of Southern Cameroon's attachment to Nigeria. Nigerians could have laid claim to us and said, we're not leaving. And then when we left, and we were denied, there was a denial of the third option of independence. We had to vote between independent Nigeria and independent Cameroon. We were never forced. We never voted with the Francophones. The Francophones never voted for us to join them. They had even voted against the independence of Southern Cameroon. These are facts, historical facts, and they are all there now clearly before man and God because of the social media. The facts are all there. They never voted. Why is it in 1972? They had to, the whole country had to vote for what is called reunification. Meanwhile, the federation was intended to protect the Anglophone minority. The federation was never imposed on the French Cameroon. It was never imposed on them. It was a way by which to protect the Anglophone minority. The Francophones by then, they were living under a unity state. Okay. Let me just tell you what, Mr. Dominic. This historical facts are very important because that's the problem where all these things came from. Why is it that we are complaining, that Anglophones are complaining, that certain things are not going wrong? And it is they who voted voluntarily to come, and they cannot be listened to. And they have to now mix them up with the majority who will never see with them to be able to handle their problems. What is wrong? Does it mean that we have all been annihilated, we have been dissolved in such a way that there are no people again in Cameroon who could be called Anglophones, who could be called the South Cameroonians of yesterday, such that they can consult them with regard to where the shoe pinches?
Thank you. Chief, maybe you react briefly before we take our second topic.
Yes, please. I would like to beg Mr. Dominic, if it's possible, to invite the Senator and myself on historical comparison.
That will be some other time.
Yes, some other time. I don't want to do because it will take so much time because he has made
no, the facts are there are bigger facts that we voted to come here. We voted in referendum. Am I right? And the choice was to join this or join
some other time. Just
yes, those are historical facts. No, we don't want to say who voted for what, who did what. No, but the thing is that there should be the people whose interests the government is protecting and whose interests the Ambazonians are protecting. They claim to be protecting. They should be consulted. There should be a referendum. Without which we shall never have any peace as far as this country is concerned. Because the Anglophone Cameroonian and the Francophone, they're just like people who are handcuffed and asked to run a race with other countries. In fact, such a country handcuffed where the members are running the race and they are handcuffed because they cannot.
I do not know.
Yes, they cannot win the race against a non-independent country.
I do not know what I said to unleash again the monologue. But I just said that. I said that his recount of the history. You may have not forgotten. I lived through this. My father was an actor. He was in Nigeria. He was in the Southern Cameroon government. He was in the West Cameroon government, and he lived. So I was already born. I was already sensitive.
Why is it that we hate?
Let me finish. So
briefly.
The government has historical facts about
Senator, please.
We were together from the onset.
If you would help me by letting me say just a little bit.
Senator,
I will not say something
briefly. Just go ahead. Briefly.
I really want to. Since we are fighting against time, I want to say that. Sincerely, very sincerely, all what has been said here is just adding flesh to the fact that the Anglophone has sacrificed so much
to be part of this country.
Yes, and is still the main focus of the suffering that this crisis is delivering on any group.
And nobody wants to face it.
And that's why this peace movement is coming in.
That is why this peace movement, all of that together, that's why one peace.
No. Let me end my statement by saying that I give a little analogy. In the United States of America, where you have the most diametrically opposed parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, they have a system what they call bipartisan, whereby when a situation is so hot, which divides the country, they always say this country is so politically divided. You find friends across the aisle. They form small groups and talk and agree on a certain modus operandi, a certain way forward, which you now propose to the House. The fact that that group is a bipartisan group helps. I really look forward to the main parties in Anglophone Cameroon, the CPDM and the SDF,
to come together
rather than sitting across and each jabbing and all that.
Thank you, Chief Senator, Chief Honorable. We take our second topic. We are talking about legislative houses, what role in resolving the Anglophone crisis. Since 2016, we have had 7 ordinary sessions at the National Assembly and the Senate when this crisis is going on. Let me start with you, Honorable, to find out what is preventing the debate on how to resolve the Anglophone crisis to take place at the National Assembly?
Well, preventing the debate, a lot has been taking place at the National Assembly. And I know everybody said they want to hear it being discussed. Discussing is not the solution. We have been discussing a lot of things at the National Assembly. You know, the National Assembly will not take a decision, with this situation. They can stand, like the speaker, the oldest member said yesterday, calling on all forces to work towards peace in the 2 regions. He said that. All forces meaning who? You and myself, all of us.
It's a speech.
Yeah, it's a speech. It's calling on everybody's... So I think, yes, we can raise hands in Parliament and say, okay, let's discuss this Anglophone problem, and people give various opinions and so on. We have been instead having meetings at the background at the National Assembly. The last time, those of us of the CPDM members of Parliament, after having meetings with the lawyers, we had meetings with ministers inside the National Assembly after the first manifestation of the SDF. We of the CPDM called the speaker. We met him in his office. He had to call the ministers that were around. They met all of us of the CPDM from Northwest and Southwest. And we said, what is happening there, Mr. President? Why can't we talk about this issue? And the ministers just stood there, and all of us, everybody, discussed. We're about 20-something of us from Northwest and Southwest of the CPDM. We all, each person said something about this problem and expressed our frustrations, why some certain actions can't be taken very fast, that it will allow our brothers to be dancing at the hemicycle. From there, we have been holding meetings with ministers at different levels. We've held meetings at the parliamentary group of the CPDM to discuss only the Anglophone problem. And the president of the parliamentary group took notes. They were taking minutes for everything, and he had to present to where he was supposed to do that. Those are things that are done behind the camera that people don't see. People want to see us talk only at the hemicycle. So we have been doing no parliamentarian has stayed without doing any effort to manage this thing at his own in his own constituency.
Don't you think talking in a debate form at the National Assembly will work on the psychology of the people on the field?
For that one, for debates, we are preparing questions. You know, there are oral questions that are prepared to ministers in Parliament to ask particular concerns about the Anglophone problem. I am of the Finance Committee of the National Assembly. And if you ask the other members of the Finance Committee of the National Assembly, they will tell you that during the voting of the budget last November, no minister passed in front of the Finance Committee without a question about the Anglophone problem. That's right. From all of us of the Finance Committee, what are you doing, Mr. Minister, to manage the Anglophone problem in your ministry?
In a summary form,
if they are crying of marginalization, we ask some of them. You have this number of directors sitting behind you here, Mr. Minister. How many of them are Anglophones? So all those things have been going, and everybody is handling that.
I'll permit more waters and the chief to react, but let's find out from representative first that we have on panel at the level of the Senate. Why is the issue not discussed there?
In fact, Mr. Dominic, it is like we still have a problem, a constitutional crisis in this country. We have an institutional crisis as far as resolving such a problem is concerned within the Parliament. That's namely the National Assembly and the Senate.
Yes.
In fact, it is like within their how can I put it? Within their mindset, the lawmaker, the person who crafted the lawmaker did not give room for such debate. We have an example in history. I'm a history student. That's why I always like to go to historical facts. And what we are avoiding here, I will tell you that historically it will come to pass. Because we are trying to cement history, to say history will not continue again. It's going to continue. And historically, we got a situation where you hear of the War of Jenkins' ears in English history. That's Jenkins had a problem on the high seas with an Italian. And then the Italian cut his ear. Jenkins took the ear And Parliament was sitting, he went there with the ear in the Parliament, and they discussed about how the circumstance leading to the cutting of his ear, and the war was declared in Parliament. The decision was taken over what should be done to Italy, and immediately there they decided on war against Italy. If I'm not making, if I'm not either Portugal or Italy, if I'm not making a mistake. And immediately they asked the Queen to sign for the war. That's what the war was called, the War of Jenkins' Ears. But our Parliament, we are not a parliamentary system. We are in a presidentialist system, whereby one person determines, and that's where
it means just a waste of time.
That's where we are in the process of getting it to be known that one person, even if he's overwhelmingly voted by all Cameroonians, that has not got the mind of all Cameroonians put together. In fact, that's why parliamentary system, if you ask very well, that's one of the reasons the Anglophones are clamoring for. In their days, nobody could become a minister without being a member of parliament. In the days of West Cameroon, in the days of Southern Cameroon, you could not become a minister without having enjoyed the franchise of having enjoyed the franchise of the people, or having enjoyed the mandate of the people. All ministers were from elected officials. Yes. And that's the reason for which parliamentary system is a system of the best checks and balances. But we have a system here where after the head of state declared war as the chief of the armed forces, he has gone into sleep. And other people are prosecuting the war. He has not come back to give an account of how that war is being prosecuted.
All right.
That's why one of my questions, which I'm going to table, is to call the commander-in-chief of the military, which is the head of state, to come before Parliament and explain the prosecution of this war.
You are going to table during this session.
It is already prepared.
We're waiting. More waters. What is your take on this total silence at the level of the two houses,
Dominic,
as far as the Anglophone crisis is concerned?
From the confessions you are getting from both houses, National Assembly and Senate, it should tell you that the Northwest and Southwest do not have representatives. Why do I say so? The rule of Parliament is to legislate, to vote laws, vote budget, and above all, control government action. And controlling government action can be done through setting up a special commission of inquiry to investigate particular issues with the ministry in question having to do with the life of citizens. We have a ministry of Defense in Cameroon having control over the military that are fighting war with the population. Can the Parliament, in one of its mission of controlling government action, just set up a special commission of inquiry to investigate what is happening within the Ministry of Defense so that something can be done? Is that not the work of parliamentarians? Why do they have immunities that are sleeping on those immunities? Party discipline cannot permit the work. Honorable is an excellent parliamentarian, but he's a good footballer in a wrong team. He's the best because he's honest to a fault. I know him to that. But he cannot explain himself fully. They will cut his head. That you, from the CPDF, stand up and answer a question. I am not of the SDF party, but I want to bear with you that if not of the SDF, to have shouted out, unfortunately in their minority, it's like when you become a member of parliament and you come to the House chamber, you are no longer an Anglophone again. Anglophone crisis, you become a stranger to it. What are we afraid of? I can fear, I don't have immunity. Why could we not put with our political parties aside, get out with this sacks, get on street? Since we believe head of state have not been getting our plea, members of parliament, all of them, Northwest, Southwest, walk to the, keep the cars aside, walk to the presidency, stay there under rain, stay there under sun, till the head of state tell you what to do with this population. That's why you are elected representatives of the people. The people cannot be staying in the bush, you are staying in the hotel. Who are you representing there? The people cannot be internally displaced, you are moving air-conditioned cars. No, it's unacceptable. Tell the head of state I don't have sleep in Yaoundé. I cannot go home. My people are haunting me here in Yaoundé. If you don't solve this problem, I don't know where to go with them. That's a representative of the people, which the Northwest and Southwest are still to have.
Chief Honorable, you have been at the National Assembly before you left there in 2007. When you look at your junior colleagues that are there now, do you think they have failed in this process of tabling the Anglophone crisis at the level of the National Assembly?
Some of them are my senior colleagues.
Yes.
They have been
there
before me.
Before you, and you left them there. They are still there.
So let us correct that. Sincerely, Senator Kemende had said it all. The system is different from what we have, from what we Anglophones have as
a parliamentary system.
Yes, the experiences from our own West Cameroon Assembly. So the Anglophone is still living in that in that context of West Cameroon Assembly.
Because it's culture.
Yes, it's his culture. He comes here and he meets a different system. But it does not mean that this problem is not being discussed. You know, the Assembly has three different, in fact 3 or 4 different parameters of contact or discussion. You have the plenary, you have the commissions, you have the group,
the parliamentary group,
then
Chairman's conference will be.
well, that's part of the committees. Well, let me say those 3, and 4 oral questions. The ability to have oral questions. Now,
even though they are written.
Oral means that you come and read them, you write them, you send them, and when they are now sent back, they call you. They say
a mere formality, right?
Senator. No, it's not a formality. Sometimes you may ask a question which never comes back, and you may now have the chance to go and read it in the plenary. That's what they mean by oral questions. When your question comes back, they inform you that Senator, on this session, this day, your question that you wanted has been brought down, and you will read it. And when you read it, the relevant ministry, the head of the department,
they have prepared answers.
Yeah, they have time.
Yeah, it is written everywhere and sent to them.
Everywhere, I think that system more or less works everywhere. If you want a serious reply, you have to send your question in advance so that the relevant technical services prepare a serious answer. So it's not like they are prepared to how to avoid your problem. You want solutions. So to come back to it, this parliament have had people like the Webers who have spoken about this problem in a most eloquent manner. And we have all seen it. We have seen the SDF parliamentarians go to the rostrum so many times, taking the rostrum hostage on this problem. We have seen CPDM parliamentarians individually go up and talk about this problem. So to say grosso modo that this problem is not being discussed in parliament is not completely true. But let me say, but the problem is we are not getting headway because of what he said it all. The system of governance is not a parliamentary system.
He showed us one person.
No, this is what Cameroon is. So what he's saying, and we agree, is that in the dialogue that we are proposing, all these issues must come to the table. Because we will not fight another war again in Cameroon. Because
if we don't
war is so...
we don't face the truth.
We must
keep fighting.
It will come. Those truths
will come up and begin the war.
Yes,
all over.
and to avoid that, all the cards must come
on the table.
Honorable, we have had a U.S. diplomat and equally the European Union mentioning that the government of Cameroon is not serious in handling this crisis. We have seen the Minister of Communication, René Emmanuel Sadi, coming out to condemn these international bodies. What is your take on the statement of international bodies as far as handling the crisis in Cameroon is concerned?
Well, you know, Cameroon is a sovereign state. It has its sovereignty. And you have to respect that. We have diplomatic relations with other countries. Remember when we had the problem with Boko Haram? No, the Bakassi problem. War in Bakassi. Yes. The international community came in to support, you know. When this problem of Boko Haram started in the north, they came in with all their forces and all their support to fight Boko Haram. Those were external problems. You know, we are being attacked by other countries. Now, this is an internal problem. This is Cameroon's business. It's a family problem. And what the international community can do to you is what? Give you advice. Caution you. Well, we see this thing is not good in your country, it's not good. We advise that you dialogue. That's why I see most of them talking of.
And they have advice.
That's why they keep saying dialogue.
But if they have to sleep on advice.
In all their speeches, they will tell you, please, Cameroon, the Anglophone problem, dialogue. Yes. That is the part they can play.
And when dialogue doesn't.
And if they will want to come in to get any involvement in this problem, it is the state that will give them authority to call them and say, okay, my problem has gone to this level. I want to talk with my brothers. Can I invite you and you and you? Let's sit and see how we handle this situation. It is the state to decide that. They can't impose. That's what we know. So, reacting to the fact that Cameroon is not arranging the problem so well, is ineffective in handling the crisis, they're interfering into internal affairs. That is what you're saying? Like I said, they can only caution. They can only advise. But they have been advising. Yes, they have been advising. But it seems the advice are not taken in good faith by the government. We know their discussions are going at the background. A lot of things people don't understand. A lot of discussion about this thing is going, but it's just that since it's not public, everybody is just acting its own way. We know government is doing a lot of diplomatic discussions on this issue, but they will not bring them on the table. It's not for. There are some of the time it's not for public consumption. You may only see the results at the end. Then you see everybody taking part and playing the level at the level where he can play. So Senator, when do you think that perhaps the international community might come in, given the state of crisis we have today, with the full-blown war in the northwest and southwest?
Mr. Dominic, when you are managing hyena, and each time it grows bigger, you increase the trouser size. Each time it grows bigger, you increase the trouser size. Soon, there will be no trouser. The trouser, you tear the trouser and it will become a skirt. And when it becomes a skirt now, the people will now ask, onlookers will ask, what is happening? Why is this young man becoming a female? Why is he putting on skirts? And they will get to know that there's a hyena. That you have been hiding. You have been adjusting the trouser to suit it. In fact, second, let me get to the second anecdote. If you are within a quarter, and every day you are beating your wife in the house, your wife is shouting to the top of her voice. Neighbors cannot sleep. Neighbor left, right, in front and behind, they cannot sleep. Every day you are beating your wife. And at times even children will run and enter their compound. And they keep feeding your children. They keep taking care of your troubles in your house. One day, they will say, no, we have been advising you to handle your domestic issues domestically. But it is getting to a point whereby it is disturbing our common peace as in the neighborhood. So we have to look into the problem in your household. You cannot tell that the neighbors that you are independent home, or the home is yours, and my home is independent from that of my neighbors, and that they have nothing to do with you. But when it is for you to make your troubles to visit their own homes, you don't say you are independent. That's true. That is what is happening. We are in a universal village, and let us not forget that Cameroon, as it is a creation of the United Nations. And the United Nations is a world body that supervises the action of member countries. Cameroon is one of those countries that has been created by the United Nations. When the option was given for South Cameroon, who are having a problem today, to vote by joining this, it was not French Cameroon that authorized the United Nations to give the choice to South Cameroonians to vote to have their own independence by joining X or Y. It was United Nations that decided. And if today, those people, the children of United Nations can call, because we all trust territories. Both the Southern Cameroons and French Cameroon, they were trusteeship territories, and they were given to the masters to raise to independence. If for one reason or another one could not be given independence at the right time, and they were actually given over to another person in trust, in confidence that he will manage him well, and that child that was given by the United Nations to the other person who was already independent, if that child is complaining, the UN or other people who voted for that country's independence, they can come in to say, no, but let's see, something went wrong. Let's see that our votes are implemented.
Thank you, Senator. We're less than 5 minutes to the end of the program.
Yeah, what I would just say to conclude, Mr. Dominic, what is this? That there's a limit. Under international law, there's a limit to sovereignty. Yes. There's a limit to sovereignty.
Okay, let's pick up from there. More water. Do you think we have reached that particular limit?
Yes. The United Nations Charter, in its, I think, sections 41 to 44, talks of non-interference in internal affairs of state. That is the principle, that's an exception. That when the behavior of a state, within and without, amounts to gross violation of human rights that can become genocidal in nature, that principle no longer holds. And that is why we cannot be in a country where we see individuals take upon themselves the responsibility to take over from the state, declare war, nobody goes out today and nobody goes. Butcher people, will see it with our eyes on daily basis, blood free, and we see on daily basis, I would think, what do we want to see again before saying there's a genocide? Genocide has to do with treating humans as if they are no longer human. People are being slaughtered in Cameroon, the northwest and southwest on a daily basis. So the principle of non-interference in internal affairs of state has expired. So any international community has a right to step in for the rescue of these hopeless poor people that have no rescue. Because the state has become powerless to rescue them. State agents themselves, their lives are not under security, like the military in the northwest and southwest. So the principle of non-intervention in internal affairs of state can only stay when we hide facts and evidence of what is happening in the northwest and southwest. Because anybody that have access to what is going on, the killing, the method in which people are killed, children sleeping in the bushes, minors, no medication, no health, no food. It is more than genocide. So that principle doesn't hold, and anybody on an organization that is out for humanitarian purposes must not take permission to come in to rescue that situation.
The hospital has been taken completely, but the Cuban hospital has been taken control by the military. And there's nobody complaining, nobody. The Ministry of Health has not displaced, has not said where that hospital has been displaced to. The hospital has been taken, it's become a military barrack. And the people don't have health services. And that's a whole community with that single health service from the government. It is now the doctor flew, the nurses have flown away, and the hospital has become a barrack, and nobody is seeing anything wrong with that.
We're less than 3 minutes to the end of the program. What's the last word as far as the movement is concerned?
From somebody to go ahead with
Chief?
Gentlemen.
Yeah, briefly, we are running out of time.
Is now referring to me.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Let me be heard. Yes. You know, when I see Cameroonians hit up on this, I think it shows the pride of our country. We are quite enjoyers of free speech in this country, and I think that the reaction of our government is to indicate that there are other countries in this world where a giant like America would make a statement and nobody would cough. But you can see the level of freedom, not only in our citizens, but in our government. And the same thing happens to America. America commits exactions in so many countries. They say they do the same thing when you talk to them. They say there is their fundamental right to protect themselves. They explain how that action could have turned, and maybe terrorists would have come out from there too. So this is diplomatic balloting. It's diplomatic dancing. For me, I don't see anything wrong. I'm sure those statements are made, but in closed smoke rooms, the two governments come together and talk like civilized people and agree. In fact, the very man who has generated all this heat is visiting us, I think, next week. He's coming, and you would see all the necessary diplomatic...
but they will not agree that the manslaughter should continue in the northwest and southwest.
They will not agree on that.
No,
that would be illegal.
These are words, these are diplomatic exchanges which cannot go beyond. America is one of the powers supporting Cameroon in so many ways, moving with Cameroon in so many ways. So this does not mean that there is war. And at the same time, you will not accept that Cameroon will sit quiet and say, okay, big brother or big papa, as you have said this, we have heard. They will always say that what you have said is wrong, you have given the wrong impression, and so on. So I think that rather than rather than spend time talking about these interferences, can we, all of us, gentlemen, let us put ourselves together. Look, when I hear you speak, you are de facto members of the peace movement. If you speak, these are the things we want to hear. So that when government says, okay, this group is now constitutive of the population enough for me to put my ear. Maybe why government are not answered us.
They will say they lack legal backing.
Yes.
They have no constitutional basis on which to.
Why government are not listening to us?
I am telling you.
But we don't need that.
Why government are not listening to us yet?
Ned will be there with
Senator, analysts, why government are not listening to us yet? Because we are not having your voices to join us. Please join us. Our people.
Look at the composition.
Thank you, sir. Honorable, perhaps the last word to people watching us as far as this peace commission is concerned. Senator, please.
That is.
We are running out of time.
Yes. The last word is just calling to the consciences of all English-speaking Cameroonians we know, you can see how emotional most of us are on this issue, because we feel the pain. And when you feel the pain, when you wear the shoes, it's only you who know where it pinches. And I think if you see us Anglophones coming out with all type of ideas now, because we find ourselves as we are drowning, and we just need even to hold a snake to survive. And that's why we're ready to talk, even with the devil, to see that peace return. The number of people suffering in the bushes, women delivering, women dying, people dying all over. The destruction is alarming. And our only prayer to any normal, right-thinking Cameroonian should be that peace should reign. And anybody who is actually refusing peace means he's benefiting from war.
Okay. Senator, last question. What should we expect from the Senate this season?
Well, you should expect to hear from people who are suffering like their fellow citizens, because I think it will not be business as usual. I cannot pass on corpses to come to Yaoundé, and while in Yaoundé, because of the comfort of my hotel room, I forget about the corpses over which I worked. I have left a war-torn region, and I think when I come here, if you're not careful, you will feel that all is milk and honey. But I'm telling you, the truth is that before we got to where we are, we have once enjoyed peace, and the same people who have evolved now to this wartime situation, they have been clamoring for talk, for dialogue. You can remember the LCNC. If LCNC were to come back now, the government will embrace LCNC as a very loving wife, because LCNC was talking about its motto, the force of argument, the force of argument, the force of argument. And what was happening? What were they given back in return? Arrestations on the 1st of October. Every time they are arresting them and locking them up. All people. Luma and the rest and all whatnot, we could see them pitiable, unpitiable situation. So today, the force of argument have been transformed to the argument of force. So it is not like we have never enjoyed peace. The peace that honorable they are fighting for us to return to, so that dialogue can continue. We have once enjoyed that peace, and we clamored for dialogue, and the dialogue never came.
More Waters, what will you expect from the National Assembly and the Senate as they sit down?
I have a lot of confidence in our MPs, and I know this time around, the powers that be should release them a bit from the party discipline so that they can do their work well, because they are competent and able. Party discipline on both sides should let them do their work well, because I know they will bring out at least something. Why not touch Article 66 on declaration of assets, so that this corruption that has made this country enter poverty and young people out of unemployment have gone to the bushes to fight, we can be able to retrieve that money, create jobs, and problems will stop in Cameroon. They should talk about Section 66 on declaration of assets. Remember, honorable gentlemen, I don't see any reason why we have it in the constitution and will never be applied. You can advocate for it to be removed, rather than having it and will never be applied 23 years ago.
Even decentralization, even decentralization till today has not been applied.
Out of time.
Just the last word. I just want to plead.
30 seconds, please.
To come to, especially Anglophone Cameroonians, that please, rather than look at the person who is bringing salvation, please receive salvation.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for accepting our invitation to come for the program.
Thank you very much.
We look forward to have you some other time to discuss issues affecting our country. To all our technicians and those of you who watch us, we are thanking you so much for being there. I am Dominic Memengwa Kimo. Stay with us.